This is Kicker News.
Welcome to Kicker News. I'm Samantha Butt, and we've got a great show for you today. Coming up, we get a glimpse into the women behind the new TV show Abandoned NL, discuss the need for feminine hygiene products for female inmates, and what exactly is regionalization? Coming up. But first, Newfoundland's own Team Guju is representing Canada in the Olympics for the second time. How has their success impacted the popularity of the sport? Kicker Sarah Danny Strickland heads to the Ballyhaley Curling Club to find out.
Guju will go to Beijing.
The success of Team Guju is inspiring others to get involved in curling. Greg Smith has been coaching at the Ballyhaley Curling Club for 7 years. He says he's noticed an increase in enrollment over the past few years.
Having Brad on the telly and being at the Olympics and that team and all the coverage they get is going to help. You know, I noticed for a fact our demographics have grown here in 30-year-old age range, and you know, we need that and younger to sustain and to flourish and to grow.
According to Curling Canada, almost 2 million Canadians over the age of 14 have tried curling at least once. Helen Radford is a youth development manager for Curling Canada. She says the success of local athletes like Guju has inspired kids across the province.
There's no secret why young curlers in Newfoundland have gotten stronger and stronger over the years, and the numbers have increased. It's because, you know, it's somebody they can relate to.
Smith says that Team Guju's success has not only inspired beginners. He says that lifelong curlers are now staying involved in the sport.
Before Brad won the Briar here in town, you'd see people quit curling after high school or as they got into university. Just didn't have the time for it, but I think people are prioritizing it now because they know the potential is there to compete at such a high level and be from here.
Junior curler Amber Druggett was inspired to try curling after seeing Team Guju on TV. She says that the team motivates her to improve her own skills.
They've been playing the best they can play, and it just inspired me by playing the best that I can be.
Regardless of the outcome of the Olympics, Smith and his junior curlers will continue to take pride in Team Guju. Sarah Danny, Kicker News, St. John.
Speaking of Team Guju, after a tense game against Sweden, Brad and the Buys fell 5-3 in the 10th N. Team Guju will now face the United States in a bronze medal matchup. But if you're planning on catching that game, put on a pot of coffee because that game goes at 2:35 Friday morning. In other Olympic news, the Canadian women's hockey team are your 2022 gold medal champs. Captain Marie-Philippe Poulin scored 2 goals in a 3-2 victory over the United States. Poulin is the only hockey player to score in 4 Olympic gold medal games. Canada's Jennifer Jones and her team claimed a 10-4 victory over Denmark this morning. Unfortunately, Canada's women's curling team did not qualify for the semifinals. Speed skater Charles Amelin has become Canada's most decorated Winter Olympian. Amelin secured gold in the 5,000-meter relay, giving him his 6th career Olympic medal. The Beijing Winter Olympics will come to a close on Sunday. Philippe Poulin and Charles Amelin are Canada's flag bearers to wrap up the games. That's your Kicker Sports. I'm Sarah Danny Strickland. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Sarah. The true crime genre has been growing exponentially in the last decade. From podcasts to Netflix documentaries, people are fascinated by the macabre. Well, 2 local women have brought the genre here. Sarah Lewis has more on that next.
For a Newfoundlander on TikTok in January of 2020, you definitely heard this sound.
Yo, Newfie check.
Well, now Cordelia Richards, aka Lord Cord, along with her friend and roommate Brianna Follett, are branching out to bigger and better things.
Like, we haven't even had the podcast for a year yet. Now we're already filming a TV show. Like, it's crazy how fast all of it happened.
Richards and Follett, who met on TikTok, began their true crime podcast Meddling Kids during the second COVID lockdown in 2021. After the quick success of the podcast, the two were approached to take on a TV show with Bell 5.
It's definitely like a creepy, funny vibe, but also like, you know, when we're learning about the history, talking about the history and stuff of where we are, like, it is very eye-opening and it can be quite emotional at the same time.
In the show, titled Abandoned NL, they'll be exploring various abandoned landmarks that the province has to offer and keeping an eye out for spooks along the way.
And going in for a little peek. seeing what she got to offer.
Just exploring and learning about the history, and it's very scary.
Both said that while they're still trying to get into the groove of things, they're constantly learning from each other, and with how quickly things have developed, they haven't had much time to process.
I think we both haven't really had much time to actually reflect on what is actually happening.
Despite meeting less than 2 years ago, Follett and Richards have a strong connection, and their appreciation for each other's strengths only drives them further in their careers.
It's crazy just to see how hard she actually works and how serious she's actually taking this.
She just tries her best in everything she does, and she works hard for what she wants.
Be sure to catch Richards and Follett in Abandoned NL on Bell 5 this summer. For Kicker News, I'm Sarah Lewis.
Now a look at our St. John's weather with Arlette Lazarenko. Arlette?
Hi there, I'm Arlette. I'll be bringing you the weather forecast for the weekend. We start with a weather warning for South and East Newfoundland, that means St. John's and the vicinity, of strong winds, as you can probably see behind me. The wind is picking up speed. It should reach around 120 kilometers an hour. This kind of wind could make a lot of damage, so make sure you strap up anything you don't want the wind to take with you. What else we got here? So let's just go through the numbers. St. John's today, temperatures at plus 5 degrees. You can expect the rain to fall during the night. Then Friday, temperatures are rising to 9 degrees. Sounds like a nice day, but don't be too quick to go outside. You can expect heavy rains to fall throughout the day, and also don't forget the wind. Then we have for Saturday, a cloudy, chilly day around -3. And finally, to wrap up your weekend, Sunday will have a steady -2 degrees and a good chance for snow. And that was your weather forecast. Stay safe and warm. I'm Arlette Lazarenko. Back to you, Sam.
The Minister of Municipal Affairs, Krista Lynn Howell, has recently released a new report on recommendations for regionalization. MHA Jody Wall and Dr. Rob Greenwood talked about this new plan and what it means for Newfoundlanders. Kicker Zach Green reports.
Newfoundland's sprout population has been a source of debate and argument since Confederation. From the controversial government program of resettlement in the 50s to amalgamation in the 90s, small isolated communities have caused large divisions. The report on recommendations for regionalization has given people many questions. Dr. Rob Greenwood explains the basics of regionalization here.
It usually implies looking at how organizations and communities and people relate to each other at the sub-provincial level, so it's lower spatial scale than the provincial level, but it's greater scale than an individual community.
Dr. Greenwood also explained what the new plan will do.
Municipalities would maintain their existing status, and residents would pay tax to their municipality just like they do now. But we have many communities in the province that don't have municipal government, and they would all come under the regional government in this new model.
Regionalization will impact many Newfoundlanders in smaller communities. Jody Well explained some of these effects.
Right now, if you're living in an incorporated municipality, you already pay your taxes, your property tax, your water and sewer tax. For someone living in a LSD, a local service district, or an unincorporated area, they're not paying the same level of taxes. So yes, people are going to be impacted in their pocket with respect to paying more taxes. I don't have an issue if someone's going to pay taxes if they're going to get a fair return on their tax.
He also explained the major difference between this and amalgamation.
So right now, the way that this is laid out, and I got to say I have to, applaud the minister and her officials on it, because if a town wishes to amalgamate with another town, well then they have to have that vote of council. It's not going to be forced on them.
For Kicker News, I'm Zach Green.
Census 2020.
The number of population is going down in Newfoundland and Labrador, but a pilot program has proved to bring new people to the province since 2017. It has recently become permanent. It is now called Atlantic Immigration Program, or AIP.
AIP is actually an employer-based immigration program. It's for Atlantic Province.
Ashikur Rahman is one of many people who have moved to Newfoundland to get their permanent residency. He says its fast processing brought him here.
It was not my initial plan to move because I wanted to stay in Ontario because I studied there. I had to find a way so that I can process my PR sooner.
Mariam Hajhaidari works at the Association for New Canadians as an immigration pathway officer. She gives an insight why this program is so popular among the applicants. The format works for itself.
They don't need to gather lots of documents, and the employer will take care of all of those applications. So there shouldn't be a lot of responsibility for the employee.
The newcomers are filling the vacancies in the province's entry-level job market. Local workforces were failing to do that for years.
They are very entry-level positions. There's a very high rate of turnovers, like people don't stay in those places. I think that's how the AIP is contributing those entry-level workforces.
Mariam says the government has already seen the success. This makes the program permanent after 5 years.
Compared to the other program, the retention rate was higher. Most significantly, over 90% of the applicants were still living in the region after 1 year, a much higher retention rate than other programs.
AIP is making their lives and keeping the province alive.
So for us, we're working here. We're getting our PR, and for the government, these people, they can contribute to it just to keep on those workforces and then that basic economy driving all the time.
Sakib Ibn Rashid Rivu, Kikar News, St. John's.
Local musicians are looking forward to restrictions being lifted. It means more people will be able to attend their shows. For one local band, Disposition, it means the release of an album that they've been working on for 2 years. Here's Disposition now with a song from their upcoming album, Initiation. This is Crisis Averted.
Retaliation's just a starter. Seek and destroy anyone who ever bother reclaim. His name's sanity and pride. You can run, but you're never gonna have no shame. Revenge is dignified. Stop running from the past, so your last breath won't be justified. Yes, crisis averted if there's no means to stop it. The dumb lead the blind to the end of the summit. Yes, crisis averted if there's no means to stop it. The dumb lead the blind to the end of the summit. When your daughter's on the corner, when your son's dope dealing, there's nothing to do with you. I but hold up, I got your thing and what's wrong? The truth hits you where it hurts, it gets worse once it comes back around. But first, think about how you've been there, how you really care, how your dumb imagination is so damn clear. What you gonna do when the guns to your head like a deer in the headlights? You're gonna wind up dead. Yes, crisis averted if there's no means to stop it. The dumb lead the blind to the end of the summit. Yes, crisis averted if there's no means to stop it. The dumb lead the blind to the end of the summit. They are your children. Those children who come at you with knives. They are your children. You taught them. I did not teach them. I just tried to help them. You taught them. I did not teach them. I just try to help them stand up. If Christ is averted, if there's no means to stop it, the dummies apply to the end, to the end, to the end, to the summit. If Christ is averted, if there's no means to stop it, the dummies apply to the end, to the end, to the end, to the summit. That child that holds the blade is the one you crowned insane. That child that knows my name is the one you taught to blame.
The John Howard Society, a nonprofit that helps rehabilitate former inmates of the justice system, is always in need of feminine hygiene products for their residents. With very little financial support, what else can be done to help? Kicker's Gurwinder Kaur has the story.
Howard Society understands the need for period equity. They always welcome donations for hygiene product. Cindy Murphy, manager of the society, says.
You know, we have many clients who require those kinds of products and are not able to access them themselves or be able to afford them. And so we generally try to collect hygiene items for not only our female clients, but our male clients as well.
Donations are the one way. Let's hear from Murphy about the other one.
Government, and as well as the federal government. And it's based on the type of contract that we have with the government. We at any given time, we could have 30 contracts for different things. So it depends on the type of service that the government is looking to contract us for. And then that determines the level of funding.
Let's get in detail with Melissa Noseworthy, the manager of the program, on why female inmates need female hygiene products.
So we have women come in that are really struggling with, do I, purchase my groceries with a little bit of money that I have? Do I get the milk and the eggs and the bread, or do I spend the $10 on products for menstrual cycle? And so what we try to do through donations, community donations, is have available some of these essentials. So we'll have hygiene kits that we pass out to women that will have things like shampoo, body wash, shaving gel, razors, toothbrush, toothpaste, and menstrual cycle things such as pads and tampons and things like that. This kind of products are essential to our participants, and the cost of them are so high that oftentimes they just need that support to be able to direct the funds where they need to go.
This is Gurwinder Kaur reporting, Kicker News, St. John's.
Thank you for joining us today on Kicker News. I've been your host, Samantha Butt. Join us again next week for another great show.